Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, Ghana Statistical Service urges government to maintain fiscal discipline and sustain interventions aimed at stabilizing food prices despite continued decline in inflation.
For government, the priority is very clear. Continue to maintain fiscal discipline, stabilize food supply chains, and invest in storage, irrigation, transport, and market access to reduce regional gaps.
To hear from the business community about what the continuous decline in inflation means to them. Also in this bulletin, government resolves to pay close to 900 million cedis as compensation to landowners who would be affected as a result of the establishment of the petroleum hub in Jomoro of the Western region by the end of the year.
Well, because of the reduction in the size of the land, we have to recompute the figures, but we are looking at around 900 million Ghana cedis, between 800 and 900 million Ghana cedis.
Plus, this Ghana month, the Joy Business Van features JW Foods, an indigenous food processing company redefining a stable with Winstick's special Gary mix. Details of this and more for you. Please stay on. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kujobaka, and to that big story we have for you by way of business, the Ghana Statistical Service is urging government to maintain fiscal discipline and sustain interventions aimed at stabilizing food prices despite the continued decline in inflation. Ghana's year-on-year inflation rate declined further to 3.3% in February 2026, marking the 14th consecutive monthly drop and the lowest level recorded since the 2021 rebasing of the Consumer Price Index. Here's government statistician Dr. Hassan Idrisu.
Inflation today is lower, is narrower, and is more stable compared to a year earlier. What are the key recommendations that we are providing purely from the data? For government, the priority is very clear. Continue to maintain fiscal discipline, stabilize food supply chains, and invest in storage, irrigation, transport, and market access to reduce regional gaps. For businesses, this is the time to improve efficiency, strengthen local supply sourcing, and pass on cost savings to consumers as much as possible. And for households, with inflation easing, there's greater room to plan. Track spending carefully, avoid unnecessary expenses, and build small savings buffers whenever possible.
All right, so what does the business community make of this consistent drop in the rate of inflation over the period? Joining us via Zoom to discuss this is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedua Boaji. Thank you so much, Mr. Boaji, for making time to speak to us here on Business Live. Good to see you. Now, for you, how has the decline in inflation over the months affected your business operations largely, pricing strategies and investment decisions? And now we are learning 3.3%.
Well, it's been good. It's a good news. In fact, a lower inflation brings about investor confidence, enhancing the investor confidence. It also brings about certainty and also stability in the currency. So certainty is very good for businesses because we'll be able to plan over a long period of time. And also investors are now looking at what is happening. And with a stable inflation, I think that it will encourage more investors to also be looking positively to Ghana and probably invest more in our economy. So lower inflation for me is good. And we have seen a consistent drop in the inflation from, I think, 23.4 or so at the beginning of last year to what we have recorded of about 3.5 or so. I think it's good. So high inflation obviously is not good for any economy. That is why every economy is working hard to make sure that at least they reach an optimal level of inflation. So for me, it's good, but the concern still remains. Maybe we'll discuss that. If you realize the drop, I think this is the least drop we have recorded since we started this significant drop. And it should send a signal that probably we've gotten to a level where we should be careful for an upturn in inflation, because I think it was just a drop of about 0.5%. I mean, looking at what we have had about sometimes 5%, 3 or 4%, it clearly shows that probably we are getting to a level where inflation may also begin to either reduce slowly or go up. And looking at the shocks that are coming externally, I think we should be extra cautious about our inflation. So for me, it's good. Businesses are happy, but we're also looking about consistency going forward as well.
And I appreciate that. But on the back of that, do you expect the Bank of Ghana to reduce interest rates further? And how will this impact your access to credit and business expansion plans?
Well, I think that over the period, we've seen a consistent drop in the policy rate to a level of 15.5, which shows also as one of the reasons is a drop in inflation. So with inflation now dropping further, and also a drop in the Ghana reference rates. I think this morning there was an announcement that has dropped from, I think, 14.58 to 11.71, which is very positive for us. So obviously the policy rate, as we have said earlier, is still very high. It's not really aligning to the reduction in the inflation rate, because inflation rate of 3.5 as at that time and 3.5 now. I think the policy rate should drop further significantly to around 10% to ensure that they align. So hopefully when the Monetary Policy Committee meets, I think the next month or so, they will look at the numbers and look at how possibly they can also bring down the policy rate. And once policy rate should go down with the Ghana reference rate also significantly dropping, then lending rates should follow suit. Currently, it's around 20-21%, and we're expecting that at least it comes to around 50%. That will give us the relief, the leeway for businesses to also borrow and invest. We have a lot of investment opportunities around. People are looking out for opportunity to borrow at a lower rate and also have access to long-term funding to be able to invest in manufacturing sector. So I think that it's a great call to the central bank to lower the policy rate, and also to the commercial banks to also lower the lending rate. But Pius, quickly, one concern that I have is the inflation for the locally manufactured goods, which have been my major concern over the years. In fact, it dropped from 4.6 to 4.5, just 0.1 reduction, which means that the cost of producing locally manufactured goods is still very high. If you compare to that of the imported goods, which dropped from 2.0 to I think 1.4 or so, from 0.6 or so, there's a significant drop of 1.4%. It means that if you produce outside and you transfer your product to Ghana, you pay the duties at the port, you still be able to sell your product at a price lower than what is being manufactured in this country, which means that our products are not competitive. And we should be more concerned not only about inflation dropping, but how it's bringing down the cost of production, the interest rate, and also the policy rate, and also the utility tariffs is also of a great concern to us. So to have the inflation on the cost of local manufactured goods being higher than the general inflation of 3.5, for me, is a major concern. So the cost of production hasn't changed, it's still very high, and it's negatively affecting productivity in this country. And the earlier we look at it, the better it will be, so that we will have a relief for the lower inflation that we are experiencing now.
I see. So now, with inflation under control, what sectors or industries do you see as key drivers of economic growth in Ghana, and how are you positioning yourself, when I say yourself, I mean the businesses, to take advantage of these opportunities largely?
Well, if you look at our growth trajectory over the period, you realize that the services sector is the one leading our growth structure. And for me, it's something that we should be worried about. The service sector is a derived sector. It's only when the manufacturing or industrial sector is growing and also that of the agricultural sector is growing, that is where you see service sector also going to provide support services to them. But to have an economy where the service sector is leading our growth, this is economic structure of a well-developed economy with a well-established industrial sector and well-established agri sector. So I'm expecting that we will do everything possible to look at the industrial sector, more specifically the manufacturing sector, to make sure that it is driving our growth. This is the only way we can change the structure of the economy and only way we can have employment-rich growth. The ones we are experiencing now, we see a growth, but you still see a lot of unemployment. It means that they are not creating the jobs that we need. It's the manufacturing and industrial sector that will create the jobs. And now with the shocks coming from external outside, I mean, the external shocks coming in, the only way for us to be resilient is to look at industrial sector. I mean, petroleum, if we are refining our crude here, we're adding value to our petroleum here, it means that the manufacturing sector is doing well. That is where if there is a shock, at least within a month or so, or about 6 months, we wouldn't need to import this finished petroleum product to drive our inflation, because once the crude price goes up, if we import the refined product, of course, we are a net importer of refined products, the export price will go up, transportation will go up, obviously inflation will go up, and the consolidation that we've been talking about, all of them, all the gains we have been talking about will be derailed. So let's, of course, look at the industrial sector, look at the manufacturing sector, and add value to our raw materials. We will continue to stress on that. Until we do that, our economy is still vulnerable to external shocks. Everybody is running away because there's a war in the Middle East, largely because we depend on imported products. If we have a firm adding value to the crude that we are exporting in its raw form, obviously we will not be panicked. And if other shocks to come in, then we are doomed.
All right, Mark, very quickly on this. So following the drop in the reference rate earlier today, how spontaneous should the banks respond to it?
I think this should be spontaneous. I mean, once it has dropped, the pass-through effect for me should be immediate. It's only when the drop is sometimes quite minimal, 0.1% or so, that you see the banking sector sitting back and observing what will happen. But to have, I think, about over 3% or so reduction in the Ghana reference rate, I don't think that the bank should wait even for a minute. They should immediately also reduce their lending rate. That is what we are expecting. That today, tomorrow, if I walk to the bank as a business person and I have a good business project that I need a loan facility to be able to invest in, I should see a reduction in the lending rate from the 2021 to about 15%. That's what we're expecting from the banks. And our engagement with the Bankers Association, I think they also have seen the challenges we are going through, and they are very ready to respond to the reduction in both the policy rate and the Ghana reference rate as well.
Mark Bedouabwaji, always a delight speaking to you here on Business Live. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Away from that, the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation has disclosed the government's resolve to pay 900 million cedis as compensation to landowners who would be affected by the establishment of the Petroleum Hub in Jomoro of the Western Region. Chief Executive Officer of the corporation, Dr. Tony Obin, stated that the corporation is working closely with government to address compensation issues and secure the necessary land for the project. Here's more from a strategic engagement with CSOs in Accra. The Petroleum Hub project, estimated at $60 billion, aims to transform Ghana into a major energy hub in Africa, creating over 700,000 jobs and boosting the country's GDP. The Petroleum Hub Development Corporation is optimistic about resolving all land acquisition issues by June, paving the way for the smooth operationalization of the Petroleum Hub project by the end of the year. Speaking to Joy Business at a strategic engagement with some CSOs in the country, Chief Executive Officer of the Hub, Dr. Tony Obin, stated that government by June will pay close to 900 million cedis as compensation to landowners that would be affected by the establishment of the hub in Jomoro of the Western Region.
We are because of the reduction in the size of the land, we have to recompute the figures, but we are looking at around 900 million Ghana cedis, between 800 and 900 million Ghana cedis, which in dollar terms is $100 million. I've told you that the president himself has asked questions about why that money has not been made available, for which reason my minister is actively trying to resolve any bottleneck that must have been the reason.
How soon will the compensation be done?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I can tell you that we are working very hard on this. My minister is, working hard in fashioning a model that can, begin to pay the compensation. You don't need to pay everything at one go, but there should be a model that commits the entity to pay compensation.
He was, however, optimistic about resolving all land acquisition issues by June, paving the way for the smooth takeoff of the Petroleum Hub project by the end of the year.
And we found one big challenge, land acquisition. So we are working on the land. We also have to train people, prepare them for the investors who will come. So it's also one of the areas that we are looking at, training people, making them ready and fit for purpose. So these are the two key things that we are looking at. And we've given ourselves internally. And of course, what we do depends on other people. So, but we, in our dream, we think that by June, we should have gone around the issue of land acquisition.
2026, this year?
Yeah. So that by end of the year, we would have started something. We don't want to go to 2027. We are not saying that we're building the hub in 2026 or 2027. It's a 10-year project or so. But we are thinking that the biggest hurdle, which is land acquisition, would have been crossed before the end of the year.
You're still watching Business Live. We have more for you after this break. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. As part of our Ghana Month celebration highlighting Ghanaian excellence, innovation and local enterprise, we turned the spotlight on a homegrown food brand making waves in the industry. GW Foods, founded by Dr. John Anyanaba, is the company behind Winstig's Special Gari Mix, a product transforming one of Ghana's most beloved staples into a modern, convenient favorite. That's our feature for today's Joy Business Fun.
Gari is more than just food in Ghana. It is tradition, culture, and comfort in a bowl. JW Foods is demonstrating how local innovation can elevate a familiar staple into a proudly Ghanaian brand. That vision was championed by founder and CEO, Dr. John Anyanaba.
We saw the need to provide Ghanaians with high quality, nutritious Gari mix for our clientele, which we saw that there was a particular need. And so we decided to go into that, specifically to look at some aspects that were not otherwise covered by industry players.
Dr. Anyanaba is a lecturer by profession, an academic whose life has long been shaped by research, teaching and shaping young minds. But beyond the classroom, he carries another passion, building something of his own. Motivated by a desire to create impact beyond theory, he stepped into the world of food processing, transforming agricultural produce into finished products and turning ideas into enterprise. I
have had some experience within the food processing industry, and while pursuing my PhD course, I also had some opportunity to interact with some entrepreneurs. I actually saw an opportunity within the industry, especially the Gari Mix industry, and I decided to venture into it as well. And that is how come I set up JW Foods.
Gari Soakings is one of Ghana's most popular quick meals. Simple, affordable, and deeply rooted in everyday life. It is made from Gari, a roasted granulated cassava product which is soaked in water and mixed with ingredients like sugar, peanuts, and milk. So what makes Winter's Special Gari Mix unique?
For us, we formulated our product fortifying with plant-based protein. So our gari doesn't just come with gari sugar, creamer, and granite. We use soy protein in addition. We also include other ingredients. We are the only company at the moment to have at least 5 variants on the market. So we've got our original variant, which comes with coconut flakes and some other ingredients. We've got also a cocoa variant. We've got a turmeric variant. We've got beetroot, and just recently we've added banana to our category of gari mix.
Flavors tailored to meet every taste, offering customers a wide variety of choices. Dr. Yanaba takes me through the production processes. All right. So where are we right now?
Right, so this is our production unit. The first process starts with blending our ingredients. So we've got our milk powder and other ingredients which we blend here in this unit. And you just have a look, this is how the blending. So once we finish blending, this is emptied, and together with our gari and other things is emptied into the mixing component.
Right.
Right.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's our mixing compartment. After mixing, is dropped down to the next compartment. Right.
Careful.
Careful.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. So once that drops to this compartment, is then emptied into this unit, and from there through the conveyor to the packaging line. Okay.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Next time, my verdict on winter's special gari mix as Dr. Yanaba shares insights into production challenges.
And that's our package by way of Business Life. I am Pius Kujubaka.